Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I figured that for my first video ever, I would show you my recipe on empanadas. They are a crowd favorite whenever I make them for parties and gatherings. There's never any left. So I figured, let me show you how I make them. When it comes to the disc, you could use any size. They do make them smaller and there's bigger ones. For this one, I chose to go with the 6-inch. Those are a pretty good size. I did freeze the image here so you could take a screenshot of all of the ingredients being used for this. Forgot to show the cilantro, there it is. First thing that we're going to work on is the diced potatoes. You're going to want to get some water to boil, put some salt in there, drop them in. Now, you don't want them to stay in there too long. You don't want them to like fall apart and turn into mashed potatoes. You just want to kind of get them cooked a little bit. I would say about 10 minutes or so. Make sure you stir occasionally just to make sure they all cook thoroughly. Now after that time, you could take out the potatoes. You would want to be very careful if you're going to do it in the way that I was doing it. You could strain them. I just didn't have my actual strainer with me at the moment. We were doing some cleaning in the cabinet, so like I wasn't able to pull that out. Now we're not done with the potatoes yet. We're going to saute them. You're going to get some butter, unsalted or salted. Just make sure you keep track of your salt. Put some olive oil in there as well. You can do this in the air fryer. If you do, you would just put the olive oil on the potatoes prior to going inside of the air fryer. Drop some little cubes of butter. Put the temperature at like 380, 400, maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes. Just keep tabs on them. You know, you would want to be careful they don't burn in there, but they would cook faster than that. Now at a certain point, once you start to see a little bit of color on them, they're getting a little bit crispy on the outside. You don't want to cook them too long because you still want them to be soft on the inside. So like at that point, you could add your onions, you could put your garlic in there as well. Mix it up. You don't want to burn the garlic. Add your seasonings in there like pepper. You could use salt or that what I just showed, all-purpose seasoning. Take them out once you see they have a little bit of color on them. Save them for later. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. Let's cook the meat. So as you see, I put a little bit of olive oil in there because the meat already has its own fat, so you don't want to have too much liquid in there. Add the sofrito, add the tomato paste. Again, it could be salted or unsalted, just keep the salt in check. You're going to want to mix that up, turn it into like a little paste. Then we put the meat in to start cooking. Make sure you take your time here and kind of break apart all the ground beef so it can cook properly. Then add all of your seasonings. The sazon. Temperature is at like a medium high. You don't want it to be too high because you don't want to burn anything, so it's kind of enough to monitor it. Put the onions in there and the garlic, mix that. One little tip, should be common sense. Taste your food. That way you'll know if it needs salt or not, if it needs anything else. In my case, it did need a little bit of salt, so I did add that and added a little bit more of the all-purpose seasoning. It's all to your taste and preference. You know, you want all the flavor to be in the meat, and that meat, once it's mixed with the potatoes, it would have a good balance as far as with the sodium. Last thing we're going to add to that is the cilantro to basically finish the flavor profile. Give that a good mix. You would want to make sure that the ingredients marry together. At this point, you could put the temperature to like a low medium, so you could just finish cooking. Once you taste the meat and it tastes okay to you, has enough salt, you like the flavors, you can go ahead and add the potatoes. Mix that up pretty good. This is what it looks like before we build. This is the fun part. It does take a little bit of practice, a little trial and error, but like the best tool to use for this would be a fork. Basically, when you go to seal up the meat and you close the empanada, I used to just basically fold it over one time, use the fork and kind of press the dough together. But I found out that I was having a problem because when I would put it inside of the oil to fry, they would open up. And I'm pretty sure nobody likes oil inside of their empanada. So what I started doing is, once I pressed the dough at the ends, I would just kind of fold it onto itself, and then I would use the fork and basically seal it shut, as you can see right here. Here's an example of what it looks like. And then just repeat that process for as many empanadas that you have to get ready. Good thing about these, you don't have to necessarily cook all of them if you didn't want to cook the whole batch. But you could freeze them, you know, and just put them in the freezer, separate them so they're not sticking together, and you could fry them up a different day, just let them thaw. And here I'm just showing a little bit more of the technique of how I do it. I found that this is like the best way to seal the empanada, so when you put it inside of the oil to fry, then there's no problems. We are almost at the finish line, guys. So your oil, you would want it about 350 to 375. These discs were a little bit on the thicker side, so like I let them cook a little bit longer. So like it depends on the thickness of the disc that you use. Once you have them in there cooking, it's not going to take long. You would just want to keep tabs on them. Don't walk away. You would want to baby them. Keep flipping them as needed. You don't want them to cook more on one side than the other. But you'll start to see that they're going to get crispy color on them. And then just take them out, strain the oil, and then you're going to want to repeat. Always be careful when you're putting food or anything inside of oil. Make sure that you put it away from you, not towards you. Because if you do, see, you got that splash right there. That's the money shot right there. And that's the last one. They are done cooking. Here they are all finished. Usually they don't last once I put them out. they're gonna be all gone. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a comment, subscribe, like, and share this with somebody you think would like the recipe. See you next time.